We are live. We might have been live before I said those words, but I said are live when YouTube said we're live. So anyway, hello friends and welcome to this is the first time that we've ever like reconvened after a SnarkSquad pod episode. This is like a thing that we've talked about doing forever, that like because every time we finish a recording we're all like, man, I have so many more things to say than we could fit in that space. But this seemed like a really perfect opportunity because the movie said it had more things to say. We are here to discuss the Snyder Cut of Justice League. But before we get into that, we're going to do a quick round of introductions. So hi, I'm Nicole Sweeney. I co-run SnarkSquad. I don't usually introduce myself on this channel because I go here.
Hi.
Okay.
Oh, you go, please.
Sure. Hello, I'm Ness. I also co-run SnarkSquad, and our links are in the description. But you know, we've got our Twitter ads as well on the screen. So my name is Ness.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm a producer on the YouTube channel SciShow and a host of SciShow Tangents, and that's about it.
Hi, I'm Jessica, SnarkSquad contributor and writer and movie lover. So that's me.
And we are here, as I said, to discuss Snyder Cut of Justice League. I didn't think about the plot synopsis. We're not going to do that now, right? Like we did this. We did it already.
I don't want to.
It's the Justice League. You know, the team gets together. It's different. It is a different plot, actually.
Yeah, now with 2 more hours. And,
but it's fine. We're gonna get into all of that as we go. I feel like if you watched it, if you suffered through it with us, you understand. And if you didn't watch it, it doesn't matter. So we're gonna start where we always start. Did you like it? But we're gonna do sort of a 2-pronged. Did you like it? Did you like it? And was it better? We all answered no to the first question the first time around. So if anybody says yes, automatically that means yes to the second one. But did you like it and was it better, Mari?
No and yes. No, I didn't like it. Yes, it was better.
Sam.
God help me. I liked it. I enjoyed myself. I thought it was much better too.
Jessica.
Yeah, I want to go with Sam. I did like it. I didn't love it. And I think it was better, but then that long drawn out we can talk about.
So we'll have like, you know, the two sets of answers here. So I'm gonna down here on the bottom of the screen. I also did not like it, but it was better. It was definitely better. Like I feel, yeah. It's funny because usually when we don't like a thing, like it's a thing that we've talked about a lot on the podcast and on streams and stuff, how like adaptations of shitty books they're automatically better because they're shorter. And right. So it is wild to me that I do think the longer thing was better, but not enough better. So I don't even know where to start.
I think we start there, that the longer thing was better, because the big like thing about this is that it's 4 hours long. It's a 4-hour long movie. So I'm curious about your experience with the length of it, but I will just say that primarily the reason that I think that this is better is just because it had more room to tell the overinflated story that it had. I don't think it earns its runtime of 4 hours in this case. I still think that I don't understand why we had it be that long. But yes, in adding this extra time, you got to actually tell the story that was all but nonsensical in the 2-hour version of it. So
yeah, and it felt like the writers recognized that there should have been a bazillion more movies to set up who these people were, and they did all that work in this one, and that was more fun to watch than just like, this is Aquaman. He's crude but cool. This is Flash. He watches Rick and Morty, and he's wacky. It was more fun to see them like do things in their own little worlds.
Yeah.
I don't think any movie should be 4 hours. I have yet to see it proven that, wow, that really did make a difference. So I agree that
every now and then it's kind of fun, though, don't you think?
Oh, I mean, look, I'm nerdy. I'll watch like the extended version of Lord of the Rings and all that stuff. But you gotta settle in, and it's like movie with a capital M, right? It's a little different. So yeah.
The hardest part is like starting it and then knowing like what time it will be over and feeling the dread of like, oh, this is gonna be over at 11. And right now it's nice and bright. Like I could be outside right now, but instead I will be inside until midnight-ish watching Batman.
I did not do one sitting. I just knew that it was not going to happen. So I did like the first 2 hours. I went to sleep, and then the next day I came back and finished off the last 2 hours. So I couldn't do it to myself.
I did watch it all in one night. Like I watched it all on Thursday, but not like I paused several times. I dyed my hair while I was watching the movie. Like just like at one point I was like, sometimes while I'm sitting here, it's like I paused it, did that. I took a bunch of basically the parts were like I was like, okay, I see you're doing this thing to me again, so I'm gonna hit pause and go do something else for a minute. For my brain, I would have preferred the experience of like in the app, like if the HBO Max app had treated it like a season of television, like I probably would have taken fewer breaks because my brain would have been more satisfied by the idea of an app being like, would you like to watch the next episode? And not feeling forced into it in the way. I don't know what it is. I don't know why like 4 hours of television feels less like brutal to me than the idea of a 4-hour movie, but but like because it was in all of those parts, it was right there. The option to let my brain think that I was watching 4 hours of TV was present, and I wish that's my advice to HBO Max.
Well, with 4 hours of TV, there's an arc within each of those hours, kind of.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
So then your brain is like, there's like a little satisfying stories being told throughout instead of one extremely long story that you're like, wait, who's that guy again?
That's exactly what I was going to say, is that I've seen this whole like thing on Twitter too, where people are like 4 hours of a movie, no way, but like 4 hours of TV, yes, but you're watching little self-contained things. Even if there is like an overarching like thing to the season, every story, I'm like, a beginning, a middle, and end within an hour, you know, like that's great. That's satisfying. 4 hours of a movie, you're telling me I have to wait 4 hours to get the payoff. No, sir.
Yeah. When they're like, we finally have a plan at that part in the very end of the movie, I couldn't even remember when they started making a plan. Like, I think they had started making their plan like 3 hours previous to when they said they finally had a plan.
Okay, so the thing about the runtime too is that, like I said, it didn't feel earned, and I think that I feel that way because there were still things while I was watching that I was like, could have cut that. Like, it didn't feel like every piece of it was necessary, and this just is going to come down to whether or not you like Snyder as a director. But bro, if you just cut down on slow-mos, we could have been here for 3 hours instead of 4. And so the fact that I would feel like you don't need all of this and you're making me sit here for 4 hours, like that is the primary thing where I'm like, I don't think I enjoyed this experience.
Yeah, there's a level of overcorrection going on. Like it was like a lot of things didn't make sense and were not like correctly or sufficiently explained. And so then he was like, cool, I'm going to explain everything like painfully slowly and more than once. So like we're gonna really make sure you understand what is happening here in a way that is just like, not, like we did not need to know about the baddies coming through the portal. Like any of that, like all of that was not necessary. Like the portal could have been opening, and that very clearly is like an, oh shit, this bad. But all of the extra stuff with Steppenwolf, like talking to them, Why?
He didn't need to talk to them like 4 times and have one
Right,
conversation where
right.
he's like, "This is what I'm gonna do next," and then the guy says, "Well, you should go do that then. See you later."
Yes.
I'll check back in with you when you do it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah.
We've all had those Zoom calls where like, did we
Yeah.
all need to get on Zoom or could we have just emailed each other? Like that's
Yeah.
what it was.
They shot him a text.
Oh my
Yo,
God.
I'm gonna.
Yeah. I'm gonna interrogate them
box.
again. Great.
Yeah.
It's like after he found every box, there was a check-in, like, I have 1 box. And then you come back, I have 2 boxes.
Yeah.
And the dude's like, you need 3. You need
Yeah.
3 to form the unity. Go find the 3rd one. Jesus.
Yeah.
But
This
his
is why
plan
nobody
to
likes
get-
you. Definitely.
This is why they gave him a little more character. Like, let's feel bad for Steppenwolf. He's like, they animated sad eyes on him a few times, and I was like, did
Yeah.
we need to feel
Get
sad
kitten
for
face.
Steppenwolf? Yeah. Like you
So-
kidding.
Steppenwolf was really bad in the first movie as a villain.
Yeah.
He was so flat. Like there was nothing to what he was doing with the mother boxes. So in one aspect, I'm like, okay, at least they gave us some motivation. Like he's out of favor. He's trying to do this. Like I appreciated that added context back in. Is Steppenwolf an amazing villain now? No. And was there over explanation? Could it have been an email versus a Zoom call? Yes. So better, but still not
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
To all the meetings in the chat, Miriam says, especially because they walk so slowly down the Great Hall thing. Imagine having to do that every time you need to talk to your lackey. Yes, and your fucking lackey like can't just like finish the project. I gave you a whole project, so like just go do the whole project, and then like if you have questions, you can check back in with me. But it seems like you know what your next step is, so I don't know. I don't know why you call Zack here. Do you see how long this hallway is? So yes. I'm just so curious about the economics of this movie. The reshoots must have been astronomical, and since it was released on streaming, WB won't even know if it was worth it. I still can't believe they went through with the whole thing just from a financial standpoint. That's also a thing too that I feel like there are additional reshoots here, right? And several years of time between like the original movie and this, and so to me, even just calling it like, oh, this is another cut of the same movie, like that is like intellectually disingenuous. That's not true. That's not what this is. Both in terms of like literally it is not a recut of the exact same thing, first of all, point blank, and second of all, the fact that there are several years of time and like years of like criticism between the two things is like it changes it, right? Like this is not the thing that you would have made 4 years ago, regardless of how much you would want to be like true to that original vision. I do not believe that any person could completely distance themselves from like the scope of the criticism, right? Like there's no way that you couldn't have internalized some of that and like had that affect the thing that you ultimately made. So some of the framing on this, I mean, to be clear, I saw a tweet about like being happy to see Whedon take an industry like crushing L, which yes, thrilled. I'm totally thrilled to see Whedon take the L. However, the framing of like now Snyder did a much better thing with it. It's like, okay, well, it's more complicated than that. That's also not what happened. Right?
And at the hands of Snyder. And like he's the one delivering the L, which I don't know anything about this man to be clear. It's just his style and just the pretentiousness and like everything about the way that he makes movies. I just was so angry at points looking at it, and I don't know, internalizing his story. So the fact that they're making me choose, not really making me, but the fact that Whedon is taking this L at the hands of Snyder, that I'm just like, I hate everything about this.
I found it much less pretentious than than his other DC movies. Like, it's way less pretentious than Batman v Superman.
Okay, I would agree that it is less pretentious than the other movie than the others. I only because you're saying it, and I'm like, okay, sure, fine. But in that comparison, counterpoint, the fact that the very first thing we see,
oh my god,
to preserve Zack Snyder's creative vision, watching this on their widescreen televisions because it's 2021. You have to watch it in 4:3 to preserve Zack Snyder's creative vision. There's it's the most Zack Snyder thing in the I was like, oh, you're telling me what we're doing right at the top. So sure, yeah, it's less pretentious than the other ones, and it's also it set the bar of this is how fucking douchey I'm gonna be here. And so then it was very easy to not be that in the rest of what followed. So I don't know.
That was a pretty good flex. I mean, you got to give him that, I guess.
No, I don't.
Why? No, I disagree.
Just the audacity. Man,
yes,
he's got a vision, okay? And he's going to do it.
And he got his name in the movie multiple times.
Yes. He's chalking that W. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
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 I thought you meant the first thing you see in the movie by the shockwaves coming out of Superman's mouth.
Okay.
No, before that, Sam. Before that. But yes, that too.
Okay, so I had so many feelings because there were things, as as I'm watching this, I'm trying to think back to original or the theater cut, Whedon's version, and what has changed. And one of the things that I think we said right out from the outset was if they included the stupid Uncanny Valley video of Superman, that was immediate fail, which they didn't. And one of the major things that I don't know is kind of tweaked or changed here is this idea that Superman's death is what triggers the awakening of the mother boxes, which is kind of present in the first version, but it just from this place of things are so dark now that Superman is gone. And here it's similar, but his dying scream awakens the first mother box, and you're telling me that's better?
Yeah.
Mother boxes that don't even know that guy. They don't know who he is or why he's screaming, or they were buried thousands of years ago. I guess so.
What they were saying earlier, they activated it to create Cyborg, and it was no, we're gonna wait because there's this guy. The box that Victor's dad had. So but
I guess so.
I don't know. It made more sense, the mother box things, because they literally laid it out for you. That's good, but also not great, because then you could have gone one step more and made it a better story or told rather than or shown rather than told, I guess. Yeah.
Everything else about the mother boxes was better handled here. I do think though that one of the few ways in which the plot is worse here is that explanation for the waking of the mother boxes. Not that I don't think that the other one was good, but I do think the idea, the basic premise of world in despair, better. And really my problem with the other one was mostly twofold. One, it was that the cell phone footage, and two, the fact that this was just inconsistent with the world's relationship with Superman up to that moment. But again, I said this before, that in the confines of the movie, if you start it after the cell phone footage, that montage of whatever, people being shitty, that set the stage in a way that is fine. That's fine. Superman screaming the box awake.
And the thing is, okay, again, I am fine with the explanation that there is a balance of good and evil on Earth that tips into the favor of evil when Superman dies. So these bad people are aha, now is our opportunity. Powerful good man is gone. I'm fine with that explanation. The fact that it starts with us following the echoes of his screams to the depths of Atlantis. Immediately no.
And you lost me 5 minutes into the movie. Great. A 4-hour movie. It's gonna be a long ride.
Such a long ride. Such a long ride. Yes. Yeah, Miriam also, back to this 4-3 thing, he also did absolutely zero interesting things with the 4-3, which makes it even more obnoxious. Like, what? There was nothing about this that made that feel like there was a point other than because he could, which is actually very in keeping with like his general worldview. Yeah, he had the power. It's like it's the technological might makes right. Yeah. Might makes right. Only with a computer. So yeah. If I knew that I had sorry, I'm like reading the chat. If I knew that I had half of America hostage for 4 hours, I might troll a little too, to be fair. Sure.
Exactly.
Yes. Like, what about the large window of time between when the old gods went away and Superman showed up? That's a great question.
But they didn't know, somehow forgot where Earth was. Like, the worst thing, the worst day of Darkseid's life, and he forgot where it happened.
Yes.
So they didn't know.
He trauma blocked it out.
Yeah.
He lost his phone.
There were a lot of things that were added on in here that were threads for like the future of the DCEU and the Snyder's take on it. And this whole like additional, like it wasn't just the mother boxes, but he discovered something else. I don't remember what it was called on
the
Earth.
Anti-life equation.
The anti-life.
That one. So there were all of these addition, which was one of those things like he lost it or whatever that whole nonsense is. But I get it. That was part of his original vision, but I also didn't need it. And I didn't want it. So in addition to trying to fix like the storyline of the Justice League, there was just so much introduction to other stuff here. And I'm like, this is why your movie is 4 hours long. You're telling like 10 stories at once, and I don't want it.
Yeah, some of that stuff was the stuff I liked though. Like Barry's introduction when he's meeting Iris and like saving her from the car crash. I really liked that. I liked all the Aquaman stuff that they added, and they like switched his personality to match it probably was already shot, but like his personality matched the Aquaman movie better. And like it was there, he had a little bit more setup than Mara just being like, you have to go save the world, and him going, okay, I guess I'll go do that. Like all the extra world building stuff was the stuff that was more fun than like the main plot of the movie.
I agree with all the Barry Allen stuff, but the Flash and Cyborg, all of their I feel like I did not care about all of the extra Aquaman stuff. I think you're right that it did fix a problem that we yelled about a bunch, and the final episode isn't uploaded yet, but it's in that one as well. We go on at length about how this problem of like the continuity problem across movies, and you're right that this if you sub this version out, Aquaman no longer has that problem. It still is weird that his introduction movie comes after this movie, but like those two things match. I just didn't care about any of that stuff. I did enjoy all of the Flash and Cyborg's like extra plot threads, and I do agree that yes, those things were much better than the movie itself. But that the plot of the main plot of the movie, but like that is a problem. Like that to me, that like that's again part of why I'm like I don't like this. This isn't good because the core story, the central story, is still bad. Like the real the story you're trying to fucking tell here didn't become good.
No.
They made it make more sense, but
the main plot of the movie was actually not even like the focus of the movie, I guess, which is bad too.
Yeah. Yes.
And it was really interesting because I think that I agree that the like additional character and world building stuff was good. It was like the little sprinkles of like teasing the future that I was like, I don't need it. Like,
yes.
Because this is so out of time, and we don't even know if, how this is going to continue. Is this canon now?
Yeah.
Is Snyder going to get, his additional chances? So that stuff felt really weird to me. But the really interesting thing is that like Flash and Cyborg both felt like much better care. You have like your two like linchpin people who are Batman and Wonder Woman, and they felt really flat in this and like sort of non-existent in a lot of ways. So that was really interesting to me, that I was like, Batman especially was just like, bro, where'd your personality go?
Yeah. They took away Batman's best scene. Our favorite scene from the original one is his like little league coach. I don't know. One of his best scenes is his little like Flash little league coach moment, and there was no need to take that away. You could have like all of that could have, especially since this movie is 4 fucking hours long. You could have left that 30 seconds in.
Cut out Martha turning into an alien and put back in.
Like, let that be there. And like, so yes, Batman very flat. And for all of the things that they did to improve the plot lines for both the Flash and Cyborg, Wonder Woman still terrible. In fact, possibly even worse. There were some of the little like eye-rolly feministy things. No, the "I belong to no one" line in the fight. Like that's not doing what you think it's doing. That's not like she's fighting the bad guy. Like this isn't some like girl power reclamation because the bad guy wants to kill her, and she said, "No, I'm my own self when you kill me." Like what is like? It's just not. It's there are a couple things.
She was fighting the evil villain. She wasn't getting catcalled. Right. Like
yes. That's and like the reducing Wonder Woman to like the most trite, like truly the most trite and like basic girl power catchphrases. Like that's it's you don't get points for that. I'm sorry. I mean, you do get points for giving Cyborg an actual story. So you check that box. But Wonder Woman? Nah.
No. You can feel them checking the box. They're like, "Yep, girl power, check. She said the line. She doesn't belong. Check. We did it, guys. High five."
They got rid of the subplot where she doesn't know how to lead, and she has to learn how to lead, which is good. But they did this with a few characters, like the Flash too, when they got rid of his little league coaching scene. Like they got rid of some of those like character moments that were bad in the original movie in Wonder Woman's case, but they didn't replace them with anything. So then like she's just Batman too, and she just has all the same kind of lines Batman has.
So there's a bunch of like brutality in this too, because it's Zack Snyder, so it's gorier and bloodier and like darker in some ways. But I'm telling you, the bank scene was one of my favorite scenes or the school scene was one of my favorite scenes in like the original cut. And then watching her here murder them with her like murder humans, I was like, and then there's one point she throws somebody up against the wall and the shot just keeps the bloody imprint of his like head
popped against the wall.
What, my Wonder Woman? I was so distraught.
She blows the bank up that they were trying to blow up. She just blows it up for him.
Yes, that was that moment was particularly. I was like, so we still just blew it up. Like I don't like. What did you? I mean, like yes, you saved the kids, but like
the debris is like falling on the cops, and I was like, that's an explosion.
It was just one normal guy. You didn't have to blow him up.
She'd already saved him. She did her little thing, and he was just standing there with an empty gun, and she's like, "I will explode you now." Let's The whole bank is destroyed. Yeah, that was awesome.
And then to top it off, the little girl is like, "My hero," and she's like, "You can be whatever you want to be." Well, I mean, sure, that's nice, but you cannot be a goddess. So.
Unless you wish on a
little girl.
Unless you wish on a magic stone to be just like Wonder Woman.
Back in 1984, we learned exactly.
And no, in fact, this is now like 30 years later, so she should be like. Don't wish for that. Actually.
Oh no.
The other thing about Wonder Woman that really got under my skin, and this is like something about the whole movie that I told Nicole. I was trying not to send her reactions like the whole time, but one thing I was like, please pay attention to the score and the soundtrack and tell me how you feel, because it was so like distracting to me. A lot of the musical choices that they put in. I mean, part of it is because of these slow-mos. Like Zack Snyder put like 10 music videos like in between his 4-hour long movie. But with Wonder Woman, I love her music, but they did this additional thing that every time she showed up, there was like a female vocalist that was just like, ah, like in the background. And it's not even that I mind the music. It's one that it happened every single time she was on the screen, and that I watched with the closed captions on, and the captions is like ancient lamentation or something, right? In the weirdest way, and I was like, why is this happening?
I got strong Xena vibes from that.
Yes. Why is it happening?
They have the same outfit? I don't know. Like they're like Amazon outfit, swords, Xena, ancient lamentation.
Yeah. Rachel, I was watching with Rachel and she wasn't paying attention, and then she looked and Wonder Woman was running up to kill Steppenwolf, and she's like, "Is Wonder Woman singing?" Would have been cool. Maybe even better if he was the one singing it, I guess.
That would have been kind of amazing.
Yeah.
That's her battle cry.
Uh-huh.
Oh no.
What'd you think about when the lady sang the song to Aquaman as he got in the water and they smelled his sweater?
Too much, all around too much singing. All yeah. There's a lot of singing in this movie that needed to go. I never like that's not usually the take that I'm gonna come in for, but here we are, Zack Snyder.
The singing was so weird at that point, but just, I mean, nobody, maybe you guys would watch this again. I would never watch this again, but I would challenge everybody to pay attention to the musical choices throughout, because they're particularly awful. I mean, in line with just sort of like Zack Snyder's whole MO of like artsy, but
angry artsy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't have anything. I agree. Yes. I was looking at my notes and I wrote a word down that doesn't, like, I'm like, what is this word? Wonder Woman still does something basically, but I don't know what it is. So hopefully maybe I'll figure it out. This is a totally random thing, but speaking about the Wonder Woman scene with the Lasso of Truth, another thing that just like this is like a cross superhero stuff. Names for things are just like bad. I don't know, but it really got me that they described themselves as reactionary terrorists. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No.
We are a group of reactionary terrorists.
Yeah. I have no real commentary beyond like that's fucking absurd and makes no sense.
I feel like he said that in the first one too, didn't he? I was like, of all the lines they didn't change, that one?
That's the one.
Like, it's fine. These people, it just felt very talk to the audience, which a lot of lines did in this film, because again, they had to explain this crazy plot. There were a few times, like when Batman was talking about his satellite, I was like, they literally delivered. I was like, did he read the script by mistake? Like, we must use the satellite to do. It was so. I was like, whoa, that is like the literal.
He's got flashcards in his pocket. Yes, the satellite.
Yeah, the satellite to do this. It was like 3 things in one sentence, and it was like, I must do. What? Wow, we just didn't have time to redo that line, did we?
Yeah. I feel really bad for. I feel bad for Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yeah.
He has been so poorly treated. Like, I don't care about Batman as a character, but just seeing, like, he's like a completely different character in this one too. Every one of his movies, he's a new character. So it's just, I don't think Ben Affleck is doing a bad job. I just think that he has some of the worst material. and it makes me feel sad.
Yeah, it's sad for him. I discovered, I
weird
figured it
'cause-
out. My word was bomb, but Wonder Woman did bomb, basically, question mark. So that was my note.
That is correct.
Yep.
Well, what did you
Check.
like about it?
Yeah, I was trying to. I feel like we should transition into. I mean, well, what you guys, you genuinely liked it, so lay it out.
I don't know if I genuinely liked it. That's a strong one.
Did you like it, Sam?
Maybe I did say I
Yes.
genuinely liked it. Well, I really liked all the added cyborg stuff because he was the worst part. Not the worst part of the last movie, but he just was so mean. I liked that they made everybody less mean.
Yeah.
I think that, except for the fact that they murder a lot more people and there's blood everywhere, which I didn't like. That was my least favorite thing. All the extra blood and decapitations and stuff. I liked that everybody was a little bit more like willing to be on the team and they were a little bit nicer to each other. And there's a little bit less internal strife. And that Cyborg is crabby, but you kind of like get it. That why he's crabby, and he's trying to be friends with the Flash. Like he is having actual conversations with him instead of just being like, "Shut up, loser." When they're like digging the grave, they have like an actual little talk, and that's nice.
Yes.
And they're just kind of like doing stuff more together. So for like a person who makes such grim movies, I felt like this one was super like kind of optimistic and nice. And then they ruin it all when Superman shows up at the end, and he is just still really confusing. And I have no idea what Zack Snyder thinks Superman is, or like what he wants to do with him, or if Superman's evil now. Like why he's wearing a black suit doesn't make any sense. And he just shows up and like gleefully murders someone, and then but up until then, it's like minus Superman, I think it was kind of a nice world to be in with kind of marginally nice people who wanted to help, and I think I liked that vibe of it.
I feel like I wouldn't go so far as to say that like they were nice and like the overall, or no, they were yes, they were nice. That the world felt optimistic. Like it still felt pretty like bleak to me, but I do think to your earlier point about like comparatively speaking, yes, like compared, like that is a thought that I had a couple times, that like all of my priors with Snyder led me to have a set of expectations that were pleasantly disappointed in terms of just like how dark this was in its overall message. I just wouldn't go so far as to call it optimistic. Like I think for Snyder, this was like him optimistic on like his reduced
adjusted scale.
In adjusted terms, this was optimistic. Sure.
I do think the way that they end up dealing with Steppenwolf kind of blows that completely, because like it almost seems like Superman didn't mean for Wonder Woman to cut off his head. Like when he like punches him back through the tube, he's like, "Oh, I was just gonna send him home. He didn't have to chop his head off." And it would have made, like, I would have liked it if he had flown through the tube and then Darkseid had killed him, because then it would have been like, "Oh, this guy's not screwing around. We tried to do the right thing, but he's like the real bad guy." But that ending kind of like got rid of all my goodwill towards them, I guess, and like towards the movie to a certain extent.
It felt like Zack Snyder was trying to one up the Joss Whedon version, like, you know, because the Joss Whedon version was like Steppenwolf is the main bad guy. There's probably someone behind him, we don't know. This one was like, no, the real threat. This guy's just, you know, making spiky kitten eyes at his boss, and the real threat is this. So it did feel very different as far as like what the actual threat was in this version, which it almost felt a little bit like, I'm gonna make my movie even scarier and cooler, for reasons. But I liked the cyborg added stuff. I really liked that character so much more, and I feel like they actually maybe took away from like Batman and Wonder Woman, gave to Cyborg, which I don't know if that was the best choice, but and I liked all their team moments together more. Even though their arguments were just a little better, like I liked how they set up the Superman conundrum. I think it was better in this one. Like it was really clear. Here's the reason we need him, and here's this insane risk. And I thought that conversation of all around the table was probably the best maybe the best scene in this movie, because I was like, this is very clear to me. Wow, what a crazy risk, but like we have to. Where in the other one, I was like, they were mad at each other, and then I was just like, kind of like it was a boring pause in the action. So that did better. The team gathering did go better, and we did feel better about these characters that we definitely know less of. Like Cyborg, I think we probably knew the least of all, and so giving him more character development made sense. And I liked him a lot more in this one for sure.
I think that there were like moments too that we picked out when we were talking about Justice League that we were like, this it makes no sense. That this like obviously like answered or filled in, even with them just being like, we have the third mother box. He's obviously gonna come for it. And they're like, we know, but we have to do this. Where in the original, when like Whedon's cut, they just like the box gets stolen in the background. And then they were like, oh no, we should have thought of that. So things like that.
The Superman thing that Jessica is pointing out too, like this is something that you said about like the final battle in the other version, is also just like it seems like Superman shows up and it's clear that Superman can get this guy, but like they have to like remove him from the scene. Like that pacing fit, like and it was like that pacing, the pacing of the battle, that all made sense, and it like added further like real context to, we need Superman because he's the strongest one, rather than like because he's this symbol of hope or whatever. That whole thing.
And they got rid of the whole family under the table, which was an excellent decision. It was such a good decision. So there were things that I was like, good. You addressed it, you removed it, like good job. But there was still plenty that I was like, and I think it maybe goes back, I hadn't thought of it, but to what Nicole said is that like the core story is still the core story. And so like you're now adding all of these bits like onto it, which are good bits or like better bits, but you still have this core story that I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
It was really something though too, because the thing we keep coming back to is Cyborg, and like, but I feel like the other piece of this, like watching this now that we know everything that went on behind the scenes with Ray Fisher and Joss Whedon, that like one of the biggest changes between these two movies is that Cyborg has a plot now, and like a character and whatever.
I would have been so mad.
That was telling.
Fury. Imagine you were that actor and knowing what you've recorded, and then the final version.
You were treated to get what you recorded.
Oh my God, furious.
I was thinking that about Jason Momoa too. How Joss Whedon must have come on and said like, "You're the dumb guy now, so we're gonna redo all of your scenes, but you're the dumb guy now. So just be really dumb." And how bad that would have felt.
I mean, Jason Momoa seems like he would have been chill about that. I don't know. Like the vibe that I get from Jason Momoa isn't, I don't know. Especially like
but I think it's interesting, like having seen the Aquaman movie, he is being that Aquaman that he had been in Justice League, I feel like. So like he still had that in his head, I think, and just like went to another movie and said, this is how we did it, and this is how I want to do it again.
Action adventure. Yeah.
It
was like a little more like I don't want to say vapid, but it was a little bit more like goofy action adventure man. And yes, that felt more like, I just keep coming back to this whole thing that the DCEU's problem is that the DCEU won't let the DCEU be good, because it's just like there's no way to continue off of this, and they keep trying things, but I don't know. None of it makes sense, and I just keep going back to like, okay, great, you may have fixed some things in this movie, but those other movies were still bad. And when you're trying to build something that is so like additive, you can't really escape this. So I keep saying, I don't know how the DCEU fixes this entirely, because you've got to take these all as a whole, basically, and they're not matching up. The characters are not aligning from movie to movie, and this didn't really help in all of the ways that it could have.
And the thing that they're teasing with the like post-apocalyptic Superman is a mass murderer thing is not fun or interesting, and I don't want to see the steps that they're taking to get to that. And like, I don't want to watch a whole movie of that. So that they have not set a good end point. They don't have a good beginning point or a good end point, and now they have like some kind of good middle stuff that you know that they're going to ruin.
That you mentioned earlier, like the end, the way that the final battle played out, like ruined your goodwill. And as soon as you said that, the epilogue was my first thought, because like I just like I think like there were moments in this movie where I was like, maybe I like it, I don't know. Again, like all the Flash and Cyborg stuff, I had fun with, whatever. But like I've read many books where you read the epilogue and you're like, that really wasn't necessary. I don't know that I have ever come across an epilogue that like did more damage to the thing that came before than this thing did. It made me so angry. It was so unpleasant. The whole fucking movie was getting the team together, and like this is to Mari's point about like the DCEU not letting itself be good. Like they keep trying to skip steps. Like you can't.
Yes.
You just got the team together. Like I don't want to see the team ripped apart immediately in the same fucking movie where you got the team together. Like
it's like the team ripped apart in the same movie, but it is 100% that idea of skipping steps. You just brought us to this future to tease us that this is, but there's no explanation. I understand it's a time jump or whatever, but that is not satisfying in any way, especially coming off of the movie that we just saw. You're basically saying like, this is what we could have. And one, personally, not interested in this at all. Again, I understand evil Superman has happened in the comic books, but this is not interesting to me to see the most powerful guy, especially with what they're like alluding to, like Lois died, so he's became a mass murderer. That's the story that you're going with. You fridge the woman, and the powerful guy starts. I don't want it. I don't want it.
He's already not evil. Also, he is so morally ambiguous so far.
Yeah.
Yes, we haven't seen him be truly good. Really, this is a thing that we complained about in previously, right? Like,
yeah.
So.
Yeah,
he is truly good at the end of the Joss Whedon Justice League. Like he's fun and making jokes and like beating people up in like a fun way. But in this one, he is not beating people up in a fun way.
Like DCU
where he's
attached itself.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say DC attached itself to Zack Snyder's vision, and that's part of the problem because his vision is Batman v Superman. I really like that's what he wanted, and so when you have these outside, it's like, well, yeah, they're not going to match up because his vision is Superman and Batman are these like equally morally ambiguous people who sometimes fight and sometimes don't, and I mean that's I think that's the issue, and that's just again for me, I'm not interested in that. I know a lot of people love his stuff, but I'm never gonna like that.
Miriam
so,
in the
make
comment,
more Birds of Prey. That's how they
more Birds of Prey. The second batch of DC movies. It seemed like that's that batch that they were figuring some stuff out there. But I don't know. It's unclear to me if what this means is that we're going to revert to the Snyder thing. I hope not for their sake, but and also for mine because now I've seen so fucking many of these movies that I'm going to keep watching them, aren't I? No. Oh no.
We watched them for no reason.
I know.
Shit.
I read an article that said that he had 2 more movies planned, but it didn't seem like he was going to make them. It was in Vanity Fair, and it laid out the whole rest of his crazy plan. And I can tell you right now, we would have hated it.
Yeah,
like it was crazy.
I don't think that
fighting.
It's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know much about this franchise, but I think Ben Affleck is done playing Batman.
No, he's not. He is in The Flash. He's in the Flash movie.
Oh.
He is in the Flash movie, and also somebody else who has played Batman. No confirmation yet on whether Robert Pattinson.
Michael Keaton's in it.
Michael Keaton, yes. Yeah. So
but this is Robert Pattinson.
So Robert Pattinson. Okay. Yeah, so Robert Pattinson is not currently there's still like no confirmation yet that he's going to be in it. But it's the Flash is like, this is my feeling on this whole. Miriam asks in the comments, does the entire epilogue only exist to shoehorn the Joker into this thing? Yes. And I like so, but my that too. But my big thing when I was watching this and when I saw all of that is that I remember seeing on Twitter like a couple years ago, and again, my context for all of these like superhero franchises is purely television and movies. Like never, like I don't know like comic book stuff. Like a handful of cartoons as a kid, but I remember seeing people lament that the MCU, or like how embarrassing for DC or whatever, that the MCU was going to get to the multiverse first. And to me, that epilogue felt solely like a neener, we got there first. Like, like that's it. Like that felt like the whole point. But all of which is to say that like for sure the Flash is going to be doing like a multiverse type thing, and like that's how Pattinson's Batman can like theoretically exist in the same universe but not in the same universe. Basically that's the deal as I understand it. I don't like it, to be clear. But
I'm sure it'll fix everything.
Yeah. I mean, the idea that a franchise whose big issue is continuity, the fact that they have now released an entire recut or new version of a movie, when your problem is continuity and the thing you're going to do next is multiverse.
I mean, actually, when you frame it that way, that actually does make more sense because if your problem is continuity, multiverse means you don't have to, you can burn your like that multiverse like, is actually the easiest way to wash your hands of Snyder. Is that hopped over to the side universe now? Oops.
Yeah, and that's something they do they do that in the books. Like comic books do that every 20 years or whatever, right. Like, and it's usually the Flash who like goes to some alternate universe, screws everything up, and then comes back and everything's different, and that's the explanation for why like Batman's 20 again, or like all our heroes aren't old, like Superman doesn't have a son anymore. We didn't want to do that, so Flash went somewhere and screwed something up.
Right.
Great.
But that's not nice for the first Flash movie to have to be that.
Yes,
like, he can have some fun first before he ruins the universe.
Yes, it's like all of that makes sense. And like I get it. Like it's comic books. Like this is whatever. Like fine. The whole the fact that the Flash is the one who is sort of the key to doing like the stuff that we see in this of him like messing with time, which again is an addition to this movie that is one of many things this movie is doing solely as setup for something else. Right. Like. There was no reason for Flash not to get there in time originally, other than to make sure that we understood that this is part of his jam. Like that was purely, that moment was added solely to set up this idea for the future, because whatever. Anyway, so like there's that. But like I get like it's fine for all of this to happen and for like this to be a thing. But it's just there is not enough like story. There is not enough time with these characters for this to feel like fun. Like the thing that you are describing, right? Like in my assumption is in like comics context that there's a level of just like, oh man, like zany, comic, whatever. But like, it's not fun because I don't know who these people are that are hitting the reset switch in the first place. Like, I don't know what we're resetting. There's like not enough there for like messing around with it to mean anything to me.
Right.
And I have 20 years of comics that I'm building off of here, right? Like I have a quarter of a shitty movie, basically. That's who the Flash is.
Yeah, and that's another, like, I'm rewatching all the Marvel movies right now, too. And a problem with the DC movies is that they just expect, like we've talked about a bunch of times, they just expect you to know who these characters are. They don't recontextualize them in any way to make them more palatable. Like the Marvel movies are like, they ground things so that people who go to the movies and don't read comics will be like, oh, that makes sense. He's just like an army guy who has robot wings. He's not like a mutant who talks to birds anymore. Like Falcon isn't a mutant who talks to birds. He's just an army guy with wings. And that's nice and easy. But to be like, Superman, Martian Manhunter, right? Aren't you so excited Martian Manhunter showed up?
So funny.
Wait, I was actually excited Martian Manhunter showed up.
And she messaged me. She like, so yes, so she said she was trying so hard not to say anything to me because she started first. This is extremely on brand. She started first and finished second. Of the two of us.
You're like the Flash. You've messed a ton.
She messaged. I saw. I don't know. I saw like all of his scenes for me in like his little bits like with Lois. Like why the fuck is this happening? I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, as set up for something else. None of that mattered for this. His bit with Lois was not in any way relevant to this movie.
No.
But like they added it, whatever. And then like there's the bit where he flies down at the end and introduces himself to Batman. I'm like, okay, that's who that guy is. But then,
you could have helped us when we were fighting the bad guy, right?
Honestly,
and like shouted his name at me. And when she did that, at first, like I thought that's where you were in the movie, and then you said a couple other things, and I was like, oh, when he turned into himself, like whatever, you recognized him at that moment. I'm so excited for you. When I saw it, I was like, at the time watching it, I was like, I'm excited for Sam. Maybe Sam is happy. Maybe Sam had fun that he got to see this guy he knows. Because I don't know why the fuck I'm looking at this guy, but I'm excited for comic people who know who this man is.
Okay, to be clear, this is very much a thing like over on the MCU where we're like, here's our background, and Nicole's like, I've watched all of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then like, that's only ever helpful once in a while. I only know Martian Manhunter because I've seen Supergirl. So he is in Supergirl. He's like
right.
a main character. So I thought I saw a Martian like at the very beginning scene when they're doing like the first fight against them. And it's like the Amazonians and Zeus is there. And I thought I saw a Martian, but I was just like, whatever, I let it go. And then we're watching the Martha scene. And when he walks out, first of all, it was like he shapeshifted. And I was like, oh, Martian Manhunter. But it's also the actor who was Echo's handler on Dollhouse. So it's like, that guy. And I love Martian Manhunter.
Okay, that's fun.
Yes, very fun.
But
is it the same actor who plays the general, or is it a different guy?
Yes, and that was the other thing, is that we had seen this character before, and it was like, oh, he's been someone all along. Like, it wasn't just plucked out of thin air. Like, we know this person, and we know that he's had interactions with Lois before too, and has been like, go get him, girl. Right. So for him to step in here, I was like, okay, all right. I like the thing. Look at me go. I will say that in keeping with like the epilogue ruining everything, when he just flew down to be like, I'm Martian Manhunter, I was like, are you kidding?
Cool name, guy.
Sorry, go ahead, Sam.
My biggest problem, I like Martian Manhunter too, and I've watched like the Justice League cartoons, and he's a main character in that, and he's great. He's like their mentor and like the wise elder who's seen a bunch of stuff. But the fact that he turned into Martha to talk to Lois, who Lois sees Martha probably all the time, and she'd be like, thanks for coming to my house to cheer me up. And Martha would be like, what are you talking about? I was at work that day. When Lois knows that general, and the general could have come in and been like, I think their dad, like in the comic books, her dad's a general, so I'd assume that's maybe why they know each other or something. Like, he could have come in and said, Lois, you gotta pick yourself up and go back to work, and not had everything be really confusing.
I agree that after my excitement of like, that actor, that character, I was like, I don't actually like that he turned into Martha to do this. That feels really weird, especially because it was a very, like, it felt like an affecting moment. Like, they had that chat, and I actually was like, oh, like, okay, this is like emotional. And then when it came, I was like, wait, that wasn't actually Martha? Okay, it felt weird. I will say that it did answer a question for me about why Martha, we thought that she was in Gotham. Wait, no, we thought she was in Metropolis. And then when Superman shows up, she like drives up in her truck. Is because Martha was never in Metropolis. It was like Martian Manhunter. And when we were talking about it, we were like, did she just drive all the way from Metropolis back to her farmhouse? Like, what the hell? The answer is no, she didn't.
Yeah. So the flying down at the end scene was like very silly and nonsensical in the context of this thing. However, we didn't need the scene in the movie that we got, and like that this is sort of picking up on something Miriam pointed out in the chat. I also love Mars Boy, but like a thing Marvel does really great is mention the character only in the end bit, which alone would have been good. And like that's I think the thing too is it's like those kinds of character introductions, like when they happen, like it's a tease as part of the like mid and post credits scenes that like it is removed. It is deliberately removed from the narrative of the movie itself because it's not part of it. It doesn't need to go here. If this super powerful man is there, as I forget who said it, why the fuck didn't he help them fight the bad guy? Like, you know, like take him out of it, to like remove him from, you know, don't have him be in the like the plot of your story if he's not really like part of the plot of your story. Yeah.
Batman is also that whole scene confused about why he's there.
Yes, he just woke up.
Yeah,
even when he
why
leaves,
did you
like,
wake me up to come introduce yourself and then fly away? Like, again, it could have been an email.
It could have been a text message like, I'll be around. Because he literally was like, I'll catch you later. And then Affleck was like, what the hell?
Yes.
Yeah, when he could have walked up as the general at the end and only shown up at the end and be like, you guys did a hell of a job. Look at this. I'm an alien. And then Batman was like, oh, okay.
Despite my excitement for knowing a thing, I agree that it was not good in the context of this movie. I just got excited that I knew a thing.
Yeah.
Understandable. You had to be excited at certain parts in this movie. So yeah.
I was excited through the whole damn thing. I forgot to take notes at the end because I got all jazzed up.
I love that. Sam texted me before he started watching to say I don't want to watch a 4-hour movie, so I'm glad.
I was dreading it so much, but
I'm glad
I just sat there happy as a clam watching it. It was good. It was great. It reminded me of the Flash TV show, kind of. It felt like I was like binging one of those really dumb TV shows that just kind of barely hangs together when you watch it too many episodes in a row. You're like, wait a minute, 2 episodes ago that guy was doing this. But like I think the addition of the scientist dad with like dubious intentions kind of made it feel more like grounded in the way that those shows are, and I liked that. Like the human element of Cyborg felt like a TV show arc, kind of.
Yeah. Yes, all of these B and C plots, all of the B and C plots were decent. You're right, but that doesn't change the fact that the A plot fucking blows. And like that, I can't be like, oh, that's a good movie. When your central plot is a mess still. Like, I don't know. And like, I didn't care about it, and you didn't seem to care about it either. Like, I don't know, I don't know what's going on there. And like Batman and Wonder Woman. What the fuck were they? Like, I'm very happy for Cyborg and the Flash that got like fun stuff to do, but like what happened to them? Like the 2 people that we knew going into this were completely just.
They're also never in a hurry. There's a part when they're trying to fix Batman's big plane. That's like one of the biggest flaws in the movie, and it like doesn't work. And he's like, "Oh, we're not going to get this done in time." And Batman's like, "That's okay. We'll get it eventually."
So this is like a bit of a tangent about the plane thing, but this is because we are also Mari and I are both making our way through the MCU movies as well. And one of the things, this is something you said earlier, Sam, is like the way that they like ground things better and like truly did a much better job of introducing all of these people and like giving them details, like really like a detail in like really quick ways, like giving me a lot of context for who they are. And so like Iron Man and Batman, as far as I can tell, are generally speaking like the same person, but Tony Stark is like snarkier and Batman is like broodier. But like they're both like their thing is that they're super rich and like they like build themselves the capacity to go and like do things. But the difference is, I have never, and this isn't even just this, I have never seen a version of Batman that convinced me that this man is actually that smart. As like it seems like he's just that rich, and like he like has, I don't know, a team of underlings somewhere who are developing all of these things. Whereas the Iron Man movies were like, Tony just invented an element, and I'm like, okay, yeah, Sounds like Tony.
He would, that
He
Tony.
would. and part of how they do that is, first of all, I understand what Stark Industries is. What does Wayne Enterprises do? Like, what is there? What does he do? What is his money? I don't know. So I understand that, and I understand who Tony's dad was, and so that also gives me all this context then for how Tony he inherited wealth, yes, but he also was raised by another brilliant inventor dude, and so that is further context for how he became this person. Who are Batman's parents? I don't know, dead people, dead rich people. That's who Batman's parents are.
Yeah.
So there's that context. So the fact that the whole plot point is trying to fix Batman's plane, I'm like, what the fuck does Batman know about a plane? I don't believe you. I don't believe that Batman knows shit about fixing a plane.
He built a bad plane that didn't work. So I mean, the problem with the plane is that it doesn't aerodynamically work, and he doesn't know how to fix that.
I just this reminded me. Oh crap! I just had a thought. What were we? Something that was. It reminded me because you mentioned the dead parents, that the whole thing with Martha still wasn't fixed in this movie, because he still just lets Martha Kent lose her farm and doesn't check in on Martha Kent at all while Superman is dead, even though he's being racked with guilt. And then at the end he's like, about the bank. And you're like, great, dude. Good job.
Rachel said he could have just bought the house, and that would have been perfectly fine, too.
You fucking show off how to buy a whole bank.
Yeah. But they did kind of have a line where it's she's a proud woman. She doesn't tell people her problems. So.
Okay, yes, they had that line, but it was coming from not her.
That's true.
Right? Or maybe it was.
No, Superman and Lois talk about it too.
Yeah.
When they're in the farmhouse.
Sure.
Yeah. Right.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, they did give that a little bit more context here than But
Batman's omnipotent and should know everything, and should maybe have looked at his dead rival's mom that he felt really bad about. Yeah. Looked in on
primarily because they made Martha an emotional and plot linchpin in Batman v Superman. The whole thing is, oh no, now I feel bad because your mom has my mom's name. And then after that, he's just like, bye, Martha.
Yeah.
Talk again, never.
Not a mom anymore, so I don't care.
Not a mom.
Oh man. I think that this could have been good if there had been more movies. This didn't need this the Cyborg and the Flash needed their own movie before this. Aquaman's movie should have come before this. And shouldn't have been trying to do all of those introductions. I mean, granted, that does mean that we're taking out all of the things that I enjoyed and we're leaving just what this movie tried to be. But if they didn't have to do all of those introductions, maybe they could have better developed the thing that this movie, the plot of just the world-ending, the apocalyptic plot of this movie might have had the time and space to become good.
Yeah,
we would have been at least.
That's why I would counter that it couldn't be a good movie, because we've seen what that movie is stripped of all of that other stuff, basically, and it wasn't a good movie.
Yeah. Well, yes. No. Yeah.
My argument is that at least we would have been invested in the characters, and there would have been a little bit more buy-in to why or why not they would have joined the team, or where they were coming from in terms of bringing the team together, what their abilities, what their contributions even are to this team, there's much more of that. Even not to compare it to the MCU again, but to the MCU, when they all finally get together and they have that scene of okay, you call it, Cap, and he's calling everybody and doing, here's what you get to do. We know all of those characters, so we know their strengths. We are cheering for each of them, and that coming together means something. It means nothing to me in this movie. I'm just here, 5 or 6 people I don't barely know coming together. Great.
And they kind of changed the only resistant person to join the team, which was Cyborg in the old one. He was kind of the the one who didn't want to do it. And then this one, he kind of just is like, okay, I'll do it. They all just join the team with no quandary about it.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that Zack Snyder wants the heroes to fight, and maybe rather than doing Justice League, they should have done their own version of Civil War, because he could have had, because his apocalyptic vision is, again, like, they literally get together and they've ripped him apart again. I'm like, well, then just have Aquaman and whoever hanging out on this side, and then your final one can be Justice League, but your middle one being Justice League only to rip them apart again. We don't know whose alliances are what. We're just like, well, geez, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because Superman's going to turn evil in a second, Batman's going to be grumpy, and they're just
and everyone else is going to be dead.
Yes, everybody else is dead.
And Flash is going to be a weird CGI Flash. I don't even know if he was supposed to be the same guy or not. I couldn't tell what was going on.
I don't think he's the same guy. That to me seemed like not the same. That was my interpretation, but again, I don't fucking know. So
I thought he was the Flash that comes through in Batman vs Superman and like warns Bruce about something.
Yeah,
and it was
Lois
the
is the key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it was, but we didn't see him say Lois is the key, did we?
We didn't see him say anything. He was just a CGI guy who I don't think was there originally until they remade the movie, probably, because no one acknowledges him or anything. He's just...
Buddy. Poor Barry.
Buddy. You mentioned Lois, which we've had like feelings about her throughout, because she's pretty nothing in these movies, and she's still pretty nothing in this here. But the added thing, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we saw the pregnancy test thing in like the original, but then they added that whole thing of her like being sad and there's a pregnancy test, and I was like, why? But then to like even add more nothingness to this character, the fact that she's the key, but what they mean is that she dies and you just kill her off as the catalyst or whatnot, which I raged about before, but just in the context of this character, I don't understand why they keep including her when she adds absolutely nothing. And that is spoken by a Superman fan who loves Lois Lane, but she's just absolutely nothing in these movies.
Yes. It's a lot of like it feels like probably he's gotten a lot of criticism of like, you don't like include enough women, and like him being like, okay, here are women things. And like that's how we got the disappointing shit with Wonder Woman and this whatever Lois Lane, where it's like, no, actually I don't want you to write women. Like that's okay. You can leave us out.
We're good.
Just leave us out of your stories. I'm good. We're okay.
Speaking on behalf of women, no thank you. We're gonna pass this to the men.
Okay. Well, any last thoughts?
Ooh. What about how all the Atlanteans talk like dolphins? Did you like that?
I legitimately laughed out loud. I was like, what is happening? Squeaking at each other.
I mean, it makes sense. Like in the universe, sure, they wouldn't be talking like people underwater, but come on.
I was mostly paying attention to the retcon of Mira's wig. Like the
yeah.
I mean,
wig watch.
Them talking like dolphins is the kind of absurd shit that I would have that would have improved. I mean, I generally liked the Aquaman movie, but like that would have that is the kind of thing that I wanted it to do more of, like the kind of like, pure silliness in the Aquaman movie. This movie isn't silly, and so it was like, why?
I don't think that was supposed to be. I think it was supposed to be like, oh, that is how they would talk.
Yes,
it's realistic.
Realistic.
Yes. A choice. It's a choice. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry that I didn't like this movie, you guys.
I'll never watch it again in my entire life, so it's fine.
Oh, I was gonna ask, because you guys liked it, would you watch it again?
I will watch the Justice League cartoon now instead, because I mean it's almost the same. It's like very similar to the first arc of the Justice League cartoon, but that's more fun to watch because there's jokes and like fun. and they don't murder people in big explosions of blood.
No, I enjoyed the spectacle, and I will definitely like go onto YouTube and watch scenes of this movie again, my favorite scenes. But yeah, I probably won't watch 4 hours worth less.
What are the scenes? Like, what are the scenes that jump out to you as like scenes that you would watch again? That you want to like, that you would
not to put you on the spot or anything, but name the scenes. Name the scenes.
It's just like you're saying that, and I'm like, and hearing you say that, and I'm just like, I know that there were, I've said several times now that there were good things in this movie, and like it is definitely better. There are parts that are good, but I also can't, like, I don't know, like, like when I think about the parts that are like good and like the things that made this better, it's like arcs that existed rather than moments. I guess the one, Sam mentioned it earlier, and so maybe that's why it's the first one that jumps out at me. The one that does jump out at me, I probably wouldn't ever actually go back and watch it, but if I were like a fan of this stuff, I could see why you would, is the Flash saving Iris, like his whole introduction scene with Iris. Like I could see why that would be a moment. That's the only one. That's like the only thing I can think of as like, and like the moments that I enjoyed, like the things, the other versions Wonder Woman scene, that one I could see that. Yes. This one was bad. This one's Wonder Woman scene I definitely wouldn't want to watch again. So I don't know. I'm like, so I'm just like genuinely curious is why I'm not trying to put you on the spot. It's just genuine curiosity.
No, it's fine. I mean, I'm an action junkie, so battle scenes for sure. I do think that the other version's Amazon scene was paced better. I think the pacing of the box jumping was cut together a lot better, but you know, I'd rewatch, you know, people kicking each other's ass anytime. So in the scene, I think where in this version, they first meet Steppenwolf, although we did lose the Flash development with Batman, I was sad about that. Like, I thought that scene was a little better done, and we'll ignore the Wonder Woman part, but like in the tunnel, I don't know, it's exciting. Again, spectacle, it's fun. I'll watch that. And we'll see the silly parts, and Barry playing with dogs, 100%.
Yes. The final like battle against Steppenwolf was definitely more like brutal, but the one thing that I was like, okay, I appreciate this was I thought that they used each of them better in that, and I did like that we saw like all of them contributing, and the fact that as brutal and you know whatever you think about it being in or out of character, but the fact that Aquaman delivers what is essentially the killing blow. Superman punches him and Wonder Man chops his, like that sort of like, all of them working together, I thought was neat and wasn't really something that we saw a ton of in like the other cut. So I appreciated that you got a sense of all of their fighting and all of them contributing to like the final thing. So
as a team in what is a team movie. Correct. Yeah.
At the very end of the team movie, yes.
it's the closest we get to the like the Avengers scene that you mentioned before of like, you know, like Cap calls it and like we see here's how this team is working together and like everybody has a place here. Yes. In general, that whole final scene definitely much better in that regard, and that like everybody had like a purpose. I understood why all of these people were part of this team. They were all contributing, and were working together in meaningful ways, which was nice.
Yep.
I like the flashback in this version better too. I thought Zeus was fun.
Shooting
lightning.
Yes, the inclusion, because in the Whedon cut, it was just like the Amazonians and the Atlanteans like got together
those guys
with
are
the men.
there, but it doesn't really show them. Like they're just they're hanging out. Yeah.
But this added like the gods and the Martians and like everybody came together to defend Earth, which is like a neat little bit of like additional world building. So yeah.
Can we just take a minute to appreciate like when everyone gets a box, like the Amazonians do something cool in a pyramid, the Atlanteans have this thing, and the humans just like dig a hole.
Yeah.
Just put it in a hole.
What else are we gonna do?
Sounds like us, man. What else we got? You know?
The Atlantean one was cool because they put it in an octopus, and the octopus like put a pearl around it or something. I thought that was kind of.
And the best thing is that like man put it in a dug a hole, but then. Cyborg put it in a shallow grave.
Put it in an even smaller hole. Yeah.
Like this deep. That should work.
You're like got access to all of the information in the world, bro. Come up with a better.
If your movie has 2 scenes where somebody's exhuming a grave, maybe you need to rewrite parts of your movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have put it like on top of something. He could have put it anywhere. Like,
could have put it in the Pentagon. He could have put it.
Yeah.
Area 51.
Exactly. Oh, Area 51. That would have been good.
Right? That would have been interesting. We haven't met the Martian guy. I mean, nope, shallow grave.
I partially wanted to like zero in on this, like what are the things, because I wanted to make sure that we were like covering what is like the good parts of this, because I realized that Mari and I steering this conversation means
we led with all of the bad,
right? Yeah,
which is probably why with our tiny audience we already have 2 dislikes on this video.
Oh no.
I love it because Sam comes in and he's like, but I like this one thing. It's great. It's useful.
I'm like, I don't know what to tell you because I didn't really like it, but so all of that to say that there is something else that and it's more that like I was hoping that this a thing that I was hoping they would fix and that they still didn't fucking address. So we now got the Snyder Cut. So like we theorized that maybe part of what is going on there is that there was some script context and like we didn't like botched it or whatever. I still do not understand why they had the superheroes smash the monument to the people that the superheroes killed. Like, what the fuck? Like, why did that fight take place there? Why did we have the shots of the monument, of the monument of all of their names crumbling? It was still not given any real, like, narrative weight or justification. It, again, felt like bad accidental meta commentary that like the superheroes were Superman was contributed to the deaths of these people, and then Superman emerged from the dead to destroy their monument.
I think in this case it felt less accidental because I think and just trying to remember what happened where, but we didn't get the context of Lois visits this monument every morning. So this felt much more purposeful of like, see this thing, this set piece? Remember that thing is gonna come back later.
Purposeful to what end? What's the point?
It's Zack Snyder. It's dark. It's artsy. It's a monument. I'm beating it up. And not only is it a monument to like the fallen, but it's partially a monument to Superman. You see his big ass. He's got like pieces of his head and his foot there. So he's using his own monument. I mean, that's as much why as he's gonna get. It felt more really, purposeful here.
He doesn't even slow-mo it or dwell on it or anything though, which makes it even seem like not Zack Snyder, because it's just like
no slow-mo.
Not slow-mo. Or posing.
You don't see like the names exploding or anything like that. He just throws his big giant head at him again and punches it. I didn't even that part didn't even register to me, I guess.
My only thought was maybe they had the footage of that fight and it included that, and they were like, well, we can't reshoot this whole fight, so whatever.
Okay, no, but they made a decision to shoot it there in the first place. They made that decision.
Right.
They made that decision to set that fight there in the beginning. The point about it also being Superman's monument, I guess, like that does make sense to me, and that it still means that them destroying the names of the fallen being an accidental thing that they didn't think about, like that actually does track that. My thing mostly with all of this was just like, I don't fucking understand why they did this, like what is the point of this, and like it drove me to distraction for a long time of just like I don't understand this decision at all. And so yes, that my read on it now is that they wanted Superman to destroy the memorial to himself, and yes, the monument to other people was like a casualty in that, which very fucking meta, but not great.
He also needed he needed something to destroy, and everybody got mad last time that he destroyed buildings and like killed people. Everybody in our world got mad. So he needed something to punch in a city that wasn't buildings full
symbolic
of
people.
Yeah, there were people. Yeah. People he had already punched in the past.
Oh no. They don't
You
care.
can no double jeopardy. You can't like double jeopardy on those
Yeah.
punches. He's already punched those people. So
Yeah.
Amazing. Yep.
Well,
the two dislikes in the chat, they said, are Whedon and Snyder.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's
I've thought of one more thing I wanted to say, and that was going back to something Sam said earlier, that this was like on the adjusted scale of Snyder, almost optimistic. I will say it still had humor in ways that I wasn't expecting, and I think Barry still had kind of some silliness to his character and some like quips and stuff like that. But it was more removing all of the Whedon humor. It was more well suited to this movie. Everybody felt like they were in the same movie, at least, where in the Whedon version, Barry Allen was in a completely different movie than everybody else.
Yes.
So I appreciated that there were still some moments of levity and some like things that were like, you know, and the character still felt like himself in that like quippy sort of way, but he still belonged to what we were watching. So,
and he felt the most like consistent really between the two movies. Like, and it's more that like other people, and this is a thing that we said when we were talking about the other version too, is that like it wasn't so much that the lines were bad, it was just that they felt like removed from this space. And so by having other people interact with him and like respond to him and acknowledge him, it like had a flow to it that was missing from the other movie, where it was like, okay, well, we got to keep all of Barry's quips, but his other people like reacting in any way, we don't need that. Like, you did
or we can get this guy back for some reshoots, but we can't get any of the rest of them back for some reshoots. So he's standing in the corner saying funny stuff and no one's looking at him.
Amazing. Okay, well, I think we did it.
I think that's it for me. Yep, I think we did it.
I feel that we have covered most of the things. I mean, I'm going to talk about this movie again tomorrow, so
Ooh, I hate that for you.
Yep, recording the Real Bad podcast. So you know, you can check that out if you want more thoughts. If this wasn't enough for you, I'm pretty sure Nick liked this movie too, so maybe the balance will be better in that one. Matt, I feel my guess would be Matt liked it too. Actually, this is gonna end up being the same balance. My prediction, okay, I'm sharing this with you guys now, my prediction, because it's me, Matt, Nick, and Sari. Sari, it's going to be me and Sari and Matt and Nick. That's my bet as to how this is going to shake out. We'll see. But anyway.
Would you say you're doing your own cut of this analysis so you can like view these two and then tumble down an endless tunnel of
also, like we said,
which
anything
cut are you?
Anything particularly brilliant, feel free to use it.
Absolutely. I'll be stealing. I've been taking notes, writing down all the important. Actually, what I have been doing is I had my notes, and every time we talked about a thing, I crossed it off. That was dumb. I should have saved it.
Oh no! Yeah.
I should. I'm just now like, oh no, I done goofed. It's fine.
I said it's unfortunate that you're going to talk about this again, but the real honest to God truth is that since we've been doing this DCEU project, I just keep having feelings about these damn movies.
Yes.
I keep thinking about them. I keep comparing them to other things that I'm watching. Like, I cannot stop thinking about these freaking movies, and I just want to rest.
Yeah, you're done now. You can have your rest.
Oh, can I? My brain is like, hey, remember those movies?
In a week or two, yeah.
No. Because the thing is, because we are both like currently making our way back through the MCU movies, it like our chat right now is, I mean, it is getting to a point now where we are talking more about just the MCU, but it keeps coming up. We keep being like, and this reminds me of this thing that I didn't like that the DC movies did. Or like, it's actually, it was particularly pronounced in phase 1, where I was just like, where you could see the groundwork that they were laying and like how well they laid that groundwork. I just kept being I couldn't stop thinking about it while I was watching this movie. It's like, wow, you did it. You correctly did the thing.
And there are characters that are like, we mentioned like Tony Stark and Batman, like the way that they feel similar, but also like Captain America has the arc that Wonder Woman should almost, or like, so there are so many places that you're like, aha, a successful thing, and my brain is like, remember the bad thing, and I'm like, yes, I do. Remember the bad thing.
I do. I do remember the bad thing. But we're done talking about this movie. A week from Monday, our last podcast episode will go up about the DC, the what are the 4 movies? Aquaman, Shazam, Birds of Prey, and Wonder Woman 84. And then that's the end of we already recorded that. So really this is the end of us discussing. I still have to edit that, so it's not done for me. But we're done here. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Sam and Jessica, for watching so many hours of questionable movies. I mean, you guys both seem to enjoy them more than we did in general. So that I feel better. Like that makes me happy because we asked you to do this.
Yeah, I think we enjoyed the Snyder ones more in general. I think there were some, like, I didn't like Shazam, but you guys
okay,
liked
sure,
Shazam
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, Sam doesn't like to be happy, so
my brain just doesn't work as well, maybe. So
just being a jerk. As I'm saying, thank you.
Fun.
As you're saying thank you, you did it wrong, but thank you anyways.
I love to be happy. I found the little nuggets of happiness in this movie.
You did. You have found way more nuggets of happiness.
Consistently, yes, along the way.
Yeah.
Shazam was usually way happier than that movie was. So that was maybe what disturbed me about that one.
Yeah.
He's like the most optimistic of all of them. He's not like, I don't know. He was borderline gritty in this one, drinking beers and stuff. No way.
But immediately spitting them out, Sam. He didn't like the beers. Okay, you can hear us have this conversation.
It's a podcast episode coming a week from Monday. We have this exact same conversation.
Neither of our opinions have changed, as you can see now. So we're doing great. Anyway, thank you all for watching, especially if you're joining us later. And I'm like looking at the chat. Hi, this is where you are. And yeah, okay, well, bye everybody.
Oh, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
We did it.